This is the inside of the Lunar Roadstar EB. If I firstly move to the main control panel, we can turn the 12 volt on just here. Once we've done this, we can turn the water pump on and off just here. Water pump needs to be on so we can get water out of the taps, flush the toilet and fill the boiler if it's been drained down. We then have the main isolator for all of the onboard lights. These can all then be individually turned on and off on their own switches. We then have awning light just here, and then this one here will control the dimmable light in the motorhome. So all we do is we just hold the button in and it will cycle through. Once it's at a desired light level, just literally just let go. Battery selection next. So vehicle battery and leisure battery, whichever battery you've selected on here is the battery that you are using to run the back end of the motorhome. It is also the battery you are charging when you are hooked up to the main supply. And then lastly, we have tank heaters on and off just here. All other information is then given via scrolling. So if we go back to the beginning, we have the lunar symbol, and then we have external temperature. This little lightning strike is just letting us know that we are hooked up to main supply, the time, and the internal temperature. If we now begin to scroll, we can just have it as a clock. This is where we can alter the clock, etc. So all we do is we just arrow, it will then highlight it, pick what you want to change, and then just use your top and bottom arrows. We can set a wake up alarm if we want to, and then turn it on and off here. And we can also set a countdown timer as well if required. We then have condition of leisure battery, the capacity of the battery itself, what the solar panel is up to, and then how many amps are either coming in or being drawn depending on what is on in the motorhome. We then have condition of vehicle battery, condition of leisure battery, how much water is in the fresh tank and how much water is in the waste tank. Beside that control panel, we then have the Aldi control panel for the heating and hot water system. If we now turn it on, on initial startup, it will just give us an internal temperature of the motorhome. If I now press menu, it will bring up its basic functions. So the top one here is the thermostat for the heating. It's literally just press plus and minus to pick a desired temperature you would like inside the motorhome. You'll see it drops all the way down to 5 degrees for frost protection, and it would, if I held it long enough, go all the way up to 30 degrees. There we go. Beneath the thermostat for the heating, we then have hot water. Currently hot water is off. Hot water on, and depending on the power source, it will get you a water temperature of about 60 degrees. We can, if we press it again, also perform a boost on the boiler. The boost was mainly designed for if there's going to be more than one of you having showers in quick succession of each other, or if you just need hot water very quickly. If you do perform this and the heating is running, it will turn the heating off as it needs the extra power. Okay, so now I've set the thermostat at 22.5 degrees and I've turned the hot water on, but actually the system hasn't fired up yet because we now need to give it a power source. So we have lightning strike here, so we have main supply and we have a flame underneath which is gas. So if I want to run the system on mains, just press the plus button and we can run it on 1 kilowatts, 2 kilowatts or 3 kilowatts, so just dependent on the ampage of the site that you're on. If we don't have main supply available, we can run on gas. If we have both power sources available to us, we can also run in dual fuel. This will get us up to temperature extremely quickly. It will only use the gas as it's required. If we now press the little cog button just here, we have the settings menu. So we have a moon first of all. So this is for the night mode. So basically a night timer. Literally on and off at the top here. Set the temperature you would like it to be at night time. Set when you would like night mode to come on, and whether it's for all days of the week or just individual, and then when you would like it to stop. We can also invert the backlight, so this screen goes to black, the writing goes to white, and we can also tell the boiler that we do not want hot water through that period as well. This is extremely handy if you're on gas only, so that way you're not wasting it heating hot water up whilst you're asleep. Next we have a little picture of a sun, and basically we have exactly the same again but for the daytime. Prioritize is basically what the system prioritizes in using when in that dual fuel mode. So at the moment it favors main supply over gas. If we were on an extremely low amp site, we could swap it so it uses more gas, less electric. This one here is brightness of the screen, etc. We could invert the backlight all the time if required. This one is not used on this particular model. And then if we're going to be using timers, we need to make sure that we've set the correct time, day of the week, etc. just here. If we now arrow down, we have this one here, which is called antimicrobial. If you highlight that in green, you do also have to have a night mode set as well and active. Basically what will happen is, in the middle of the night, the boiler will come on, rapidly heat itself up to kill off any bacteria that may be in the system. So basically it's like a self-sanitization mode. We then have thermostat offset. So if you don't think the thermostat is quite correct, you can just slightly alter it. High altitude mode just here. So if you are using the motorhome 1,000 meters above sea level, just activate this to make the system run as it should. Key beeps on and off just there. Instead of having multiple timers, you could just have one start and stop to the system. Pump settings just here, just literally leave it on thermal. We only want the pump to run when it's required. Full factory reset just here, so if there is a problem you can reset the system. External start, this can only be used if you have an extra box added as it were, so you can then control it via a smartphone or a tablet. Language just there. Service more for the workshop, but it will let you know what everything is up to, so it'll give you all the temperatures. And then lastly we have installed accessories. In here, really the only useful one that isn't already highlighted is this one here, which is load monitor. So if I activate that, it will now appear in the settings just here. Activate. If you know how many amps the site is, you can select on here. So let's say we were on a lowish 10 amp site. It wouldn't now matter that I was running 3 kilowatts. It will not pull that amount because it will limit it knowing that it's a 10 amp site to avoid tripping. Because I've now activated it, it becomes an activated function and appears here. So I can go straight back to it, change it or turn it back off again. If we now come to the seating area just here and remove the cushions, and we now lift up, you will see that we have in here the location of the leisure battery. Another one can be added if needed. We then also have in here the battery charger just here. So this is what is charging both leisure and vehicle battery when hooked up to the main supply. We then have some 12 volt fuses just here. They are all labelled up. They are more for bits and bobs on, mainly on the outside of the motorhome, like marker lights, etc. And then right here we have the actual consumer unit itself. So we have literally the trip switches just here. We have the individual MCBs, the main RCD just here, and the test button. They do correspond on the sticker just here. We then have the 12-volt fuses just here. Again, they're numbered up and correspond on this part of the sticker just here. So if something's not working on 12 volt, just come and check to see whether or not you've blown a fuse. And then we have the main 12 volt fuse just there. Along the top just here we have isolator buttons for components that use main supply. So we have these two just here, which are for the Aldi heating and hot water system. So if these are turned off, it will not work on main supply. So just make sure they're on. We then have this green one here, which will turn off the battery charger. Again, we want to be able to charge the batteries up when hooked up. So again, we want to be leaving this one alone. To be fair, these are all more for maintenance than anything else. This one here will illuminate if we have reverse polarity connected to the motorhome. This can sometimes be found on some continental sites. We then have controls here. These are exactly the same as what you find on your main control panel. So we've got 12 volt on and off just here, water pump on and off, lights on and off, and switch between your leisure battery and your vehicle battery. Also down here we have full system shutdown. So if you're not going to be using the motorhome for long periods of time, you can press this black button here and it will shut the whole of the back end down, killing any residual draw on the leisure battery. If we now just remove the cushion from the travelling seats, remove this wooden panel, and then just slide this section away, we can then see the top of the fresh water tank. So we can gain access just here by unscrewing the blue cap if we want to clean the fresh water tank out. We then have the water pump just here, and tucked just there is the surge dampener. The dinette table can be also stored in the garage. There are, if I can just get underneath, see if I can get it on the camera, just little clips just here. So to lock it on to the rail, slide them and slide them back to release it. It also has extended dining just by pulling down here and then folding round like so. If we now move further to the back of the motorhome, we have the Dometic fridge just here, on and off. This one here is main supply with a little picture of the 2-pin plug. We then have gas. These particular fridges will just auto ignite themselves. If it fails to light, we will get a beeping noise. We will also get a red flashing light just here. We then have 12 volt maintain for when we're driving. So at the moment we will get a beeping noise and a red light letting us know that we currently do not have the engine running. If it's tried to light on gas and it's failed and you think it might just be down to a bit of air in the system, you can press the warning triangle just here and it will then attempt to light itself again. Temperature control just here. Then we have the fridge and the freezer box above. This freezer box can be removed on the clips. Solar panel regulator just here. We do not need to do anything with this, it will just smart charge the leisure battery as it's required. Then have the microwave. This is an eco microwave, so just hold down the eco button to wake it up before use. Then we have the normal stuff, quick start, stop just here, defrost, etc. above. The hob, so we have the electric hot plate just there, so like the microwave will work when we're hooked up. Red light comes on to let you know it's in operation. Then everything else is gas, and it's just push in, twist and push the igniter just here. Beneath that we then have the grill. And then the oven. Storage beneath the oven, but you'll also find a plug plugged in, which is just for the electric hot plate. We have the Dometic extractor fan just here, 2 variable fan speeds, and then 2 light levels as well. We then have the washroom, so we have the Thetford toilet just here. To open to the cassette, just slide across, push to flush on the blue button, level indicator just here to let you know when the cassette needs emptying, and then close back up again. If this has been left open and you try to remove the cassette from the outside, it will not come out. So if you do feel resistance, just make sure nobody's left it open. Basin and shower. Do make sure that the shower screen is secured for travel. The Aldi boiler is located just here. To drain the boiler down for winterization, it's just done on the yellow lever just here. Just make sure the water pump is turned off, and then literally flip it up like so to drain it. To fill it back up again, flap it back over, fill up the fresh water tank, turn the water pump on, and it will start to refill the boiler. If you've fully winterized the van, I always suggest that when draining down that you open up all the taps as well to release any airlocks in the system. So when you come to fill it back up again, you will need to open them to let them blow all the air out of the system. Once they're running freely on hot and cold, they can then be closed and the system will then fully reprime itself. We then have the bed at the back. This section here can be removed slightly and slid back. We can also lift it up so we can gain access to the garage from this point here as well. So we can take this section away and then just pop this one in instead. In this cupboard just here we have the header tank for the Aldi heating system. We just need to make sure that the Fluid level is between the minimum and the maximum. Always take your temperature once the heating is up to operating temperature, or otherwise you may, if you did top it up, which it's done just here, overflow it, as the fluid will expand as it heats up. If you are going to top it up yourself, do make sure that you are using the Aldi top-up solution. Above it we then have the Vision Plus digital amplifier for the television. The aerial is located just here. To operate it, undo the collar and then pop the mast up and get it into the position that you require. This particular amplifier does have a signal finder in it, so if you've got a nice solid green light, you know you've got a good strong signal. Do make sure that the aerial is down for travel. Never over tighten these collars because you can split them. The H stands for horizontal. We can flip it to vertical by turning the tail just here if you do need to do additional tuning. It does show it just there. To make the front bed, I'm firstly just going to remove all the cushions and the table for a moment. So as you can see, I've now moved everything out of the way just for the moment. What we now need to do is pull this section out just here, and then what we're doing is we're then popping the table just in this section just here. You do need to make sure that you've folded your leg down just by pushing this button in just here. You need to make sure that the table is sitting as it is and it's all in nice and flush. Then this section here needs to also slide out. And then we can begin popping the cushions on. And then all the cushions go on as they are. So we have this cushion here which just stays where it is. We then have the grey infill just here, and this has the corner piece just slightly cut away so it fits in that corner. We then have this one just here, and you'll see that it's slightly cut away to gain access to the door. This cushion stays exactly where it is as well, and then we have the backrest that would usually be here that just pops in this point here. Apologies, this cushion here, the cut follows across here.